Welcome to Be Now for January the 3rd, 2023. My name is Don McLeod, and as always, joining me is Fazal Khan. How you doing?
Happy New Year, Donald.
Happy New Year. What did you do for New Year's?
Oh, well, that's part of the agenda. I went to downtown Brampton for the fireworks.
Exactly, and that's what we're going to check out. Me, I was sick, so I didn't get a chance to go down there, but...
Well, I too, Don, was sick, but I managed
you weren't as sick as me. There was I had the major,
In fact, I'm still sick.
Yeah, so am I, but I'm sick. I was sicker than you.
Well, you're always sicker than me.
All right. So, we basically, we did a whole bunch of different things. But yeah, for the New Year's Eve down at Garden Square, there's a whole bunch of different things and bands and everything else. So you were down there because I said I was sick. There was no way I was going down there. How was it? Give me your estimation on that.
Well, that's the second part of our show, Don.
Oh, really? I thought that was the first part.
No, the first part of our show, we always talk about what's on the promo, which is what to expect in 2023. And then we can talk about... Then we can critique the New Year's event.
Okay. So what to expect in 2023? What do you expect in 2023?
Well, Karen, this is Karen's first comment of the year.
2023. Well, that's pretty good, Karen. Right on cue.
Let's see. We also have a comment from Chris. I can't remember. Can you see the YouTube comments in real time? Yes, we can, Chris. Yes, we can. Because we just did.
There we go.
Okay.
So 2023. You know what I'd like to see in 2023?
What?
I'd like to see if the Liberals actually, put somebody, the provincial Liberals put somebody as a leader.
No, they usually do that about a month before the election when nobody can,
Yeah, which is unfortunate, but yeah, I'd like to see him happen. Maybe give him a couple of years. I mean, the NDP had a little bit more foresight, and they actually had. Well, they didn't elect someone. There was only one person that actually ran to the podium.
Well, and maybe that's why the Liberals don't want to have theirs quite yet, because they want to have at least one person to run for their leader. I'm not sure right now there's anybody.
Well, I mean, we heard some rumblings that possibly, Bonnie Crombie was, looking or advocating for that position, as well as apparently the Liberals were sending messages to Mike Schreiner, the Green Party. So those are two things I'd like to see. I would love to see at least, before the end of the year, 2023, the Liberals have someone as a party head that basically is not a recycled, from the Kathleen Wynne or McGuinty government.
Yeah, and I actually think Bonnie Crombie would be a good leader. I think she would be a good premier. She's a seasoned politician. I can't think of too many other people right now who's not connected to the previous two Liberal governments, Dalton McGuinty and Kathleen Wynne. And then the Sousa just won that by-election in Mississauga, so he's going to the federal party. So who's left? Who's really left in the provincial Liberal Party? It's probably going to be a bunch of new people nobody's ever heard of.
Yeah, and it's at some point in time. I mean, I don't think that that's going to be the way forward, but I think at this point in time, it's best for democracy in Queen's Park to have, some sort of official opposition, whether it be, a minor party, with 6 or 7 seats, but you got to have some sort of. Right now, I don't see nothing out of the Liberals.
We have a majority provincial government. Even if we had leaders, all it is it's just. They have no power, right?
It's window dressing, but I think it's window dressing. But at the same time, guys, you can't wait, like you said before, a month before the election and throw somebody out to the populace, like a bag of bones and expect people to vote for it. It's like it's
and there's so much that you could be attacking the provincial conservative government on, but there's nobody around attacking them. And 6 months from now, everybody will have forgotten, right?
Yeah, and it's unfortunate because, like I said before, and we talked about it, the 25% turnout rate, it's only if you're not going to put someone as a platform and give them an opportunity to grow that platform and that base at some point in time. I mean, you can't expect to put someone out 6 months ahead of time and expect them to win a major election. There's
Well,
no
they'll
way.
put the leader out, a few months beforehand, but then, what about the local representatives who you actually vote for? I can't even remember actually I can. She was pretty good. My provincial Liberal candidate. But that's typically what happens is all the nominations happen near the end. It's as you know, Don, if you're running and even if you lose, if you want to win, you got to run for the next 4 years, right? You got to be out until you do
and it's
stuff.
kind of ad hoc, and it's like sort of, like, to me, it's not organized. I mean, it's just like, to me, it's an ad hoc thing, and it's like, we'll figure something out down the way, and like, I don't know, right? But at some point in time, I mean, if you get your leader in place, you get your candidates in place, or some sort of idea of where your candidates are going to go, what kind of platform you're going to. At least now you can start to ask for donations and build up that war chest, right? So
yeah, I didn't get anything. I didn't get anything from the Liberal government for donations at the end of the year. I think I got some from the Conservative government because I sign up to everything, right? So and this is the time you want donations, right? Because all of your tax credits or whatever you get for the federal donations, you don't have to wait a year because if you file your taxes in January, you can get it back within weeks.
Yeah, so
And
that's
it's 75%, I think, up to 75% you can get back with your political donations.
Yeah, depending, but it's like, I'd like to see something like that, at least a concerted effort by, some sort of opposition, going forward.
Just for democracy's sake, right? You need an opposition.
Absolutely. You can't have one party, basically, and then the other parties just disappear until 6 months. There's no way that's gonna, people are not going to be encouraged to come out. I mean, like you said, there were some candidates that were running for the Liberal Party in the last election that, in my mind, and I know that some in your area were they were more than average, and they were at least new faces. They were out there. They were trying to get votes. They were trying to stir a little bit of,
But they also had no chance because of the leader that they chose.
Well,
right?
that's the whole thing. That's what I'm saying. It's like, what, you can have good candidates at the grass level, but and I know when it comes to federal and provincial, it's the leader that they're voting for, not for the individual candidates. So that's something I'd like to see.
Provincial and federal. What's going on in Brampton in the coming year? I got a couple things. I listened to the mayor's speech, New Year's Eve speech. Did you listen to that?
Yep.
So the med school, apparently the location of it is going to be announced in the first quarter of this year. Okay. So that's interesting. The first med school in the GTA in over 100 years, which I tried to fact check that. I couldn't find anything, which means that there haven't been new med schools in the GTA in a long time, right?
Yeah, I don't know where the last med school was. What is it, the University of Toronto or something like that? Like,
I don't
know. Okay. The other thing is, I'd like to see the hospital. There was 250 extension beds being built in 2023. I think that was promised in 2022 to actually get shovels in the ground. It'd be nice to actually get shovels in the ground.
Yeah, that's according to the mayor. That's supposed to happen this year, and it's a full second hospital now, not just 250 some beds. It's an ER department. Plus, I think at the Brampton Civic, they're going to be putting a cancer center. So there's lots going on, and if it doesn't get started this year, there's something seriously wrong.
Yeah.
So the pressure's on. Like, we can't wait 4 years for a shovel for us to see a shovel, right? It's got to go in this year.
Yeah. Chris Drew brought up something he wants to see.
I'll put it up for you.
Yeah. Good transit access.
Well, what the mayor mentioned in his speech in regards to transit was the electrification of transit, and I guess there's some new facility. I'm not really interested in new facilities to service electric vehicles. I'm more interested in the actual transit. I can't really get excited about back-end infrastructure that nobody sees.
Well, at the same time, you still have the HMLRT, the Hazel McCallion line, which is going to end up at Steeles in Huron, Ontario. I mean, we talked to the mayor about having, the provincial government not stop it there, have something, the advocation going forward to have that tunnel put in right up to the Brampton GO station.
Happy New Year, Nikki.
Is that Nikki Cedron? Happy New Year.
Yeah. You have a comment for her?
I have a few comments, but they're basically, I'd have to censor the comments. Happy New Year, Nikki. Where's my bottle of champagne? Where's my cake? No cake, no champagne, no present for Christmas, no nothing. Total letdown. Total letdown. Anyway, there's
Okay.
a whole bunch of things. It's like, you know what? I don't think people realize that, you know what? If you go to different cities around the world, world-class cities have massive transportation systems that actually interconnect. Whenever I go over to Europe, um, I don't. I rent a car when I go outside the city, but if I go to Barcelona or something like that, either I walk or take the transit because it's so good. And even train systems, in this country, we don't have one high-speed rail system, which is a joke. Years
And for a
ago,
country like Canada that's so large, I think
yeah,
this is the place where it would make a whole lot of economic sense.
yeah, it's a ridiculous scenario that's been gone on too long. I told you before, one of my friend's dads in the 70s, he was going over to China, basically to set up a high-speed rail system in China in the late 70s. We haven't got one, and it's 2023 right now in Canada. It's a massive, whether it be a situation where the airlines are actively stopping it, or the CN line rail lines will not cooperate, whatever it happens to be. At some point in time, for Canada in 2023 not to have decent rail service, which it doesn't. I've traveled rail before across this country on a regular basis, whether it be CP, CN, and Via Rail. And I'm going to tell you, it's like I used to go to back and forth to Montreal and Toronto in the late 80s. They used to have a bar car and sleeper cars. They don't have those anymore. It's just like, it's terrible. The rail service in Spain and Portugal is way better. So, I mean, that's something going forward. It's a little bit off topic about what's going on in Brampton, but
We have a highway coming.
yes, apparently Highway 413 coming soon to a farm
To
near you.
to a green land near you. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's something else. I guess we're going to find out in 2023 because, as I mentioned before, I think that the federal government could throw in an EA into that and stop the development. So we'll see what happens in 2023 in regards to that. That's a big one. Also, Heritage Heights, that's still in the air, right?
Well, the issue with Heritage Heights is what happens to the 413 when it cuts through Brampton in that area. Right now,
Yeah.
the city or the council wants some kind of boulevard option, so that'll be interesting to see. I don't think the provincial government is going to want a highway going into a boulevard and going back into a highway. I don't think it makes any sense.
Yeah, well, so we'll see what happens to that. So there's a lot of things going on.
Maybe they can tunnel it.
Okay, tunnels all over the place. It'd be like
And
a
then
rat's
the
nest.
next interesting thing the mayor said in New Year's message was it's going to be what was the term used? A muscular increase to the police services. Use the word muscular, which I find interesting. So I think 70 new police officers in 1 year, and then 50 to the 911 system, because that's his number one priority is community safety.
Well, another police officer outside of he wasn't in Brampton, but got shot and killed. I think a lot of people they were outraged about the bail system and the federal government and Pierre Poilievre. Why is Justin Trudeau not doing anything about the bail system? A lot of people don't realize the jail was set at the provincial level, not the federal level. So if a justice of the peace deemed the bail was necessary, and it's a provincial issue at this point in time. I think minimum sentencing is something that runs under the federal guideline for anyone accused of committing a crime with a gun, but the bail system is a provincial, as far as I know, and I'm not a lawyer, but from what I read, it is a provincial, not a federal jurisdiction.
Yeah, because it was I think 5 or 6 police officers lost their lives in Canada in the last few months of the year, which is unusual. Sometimes you don't even have one in a year, right? So to have 5 in such a short amount of time, something must be going on. I don't think that could be coincidence.
Well, we'll see what goes on in that regard. He wants to do community safety and increase the police budget. As we mentioned before, 70 to 80% of the calls that police make are connected to domestic violence and internal, like, domestic issues. So
yeah, intimate partner violence. And
yeah.
To me, that's the big one. If you want to address the resourcing and policing, you got to look as an individual, like what can be done right? Because I volunteer on a nonprofit that provides services for women and families impacted by domestic violence. But at the end of the day, what can be done by government or by police to stop what happens in somebody's homes, right? What can be done? I don't understand. I don't know what the solutions are to that. And adding more police officers to deal with the increasing number of calls for intimate partner violence. To me, this is a generational change. It's about attitudes. It's about making sure that young boys understand, just what they can or can't do. Right? I don't understand. I don't know. It's a tough problem, and throwing policing at it, I don't think is a solution.
So that's something we'll look forward to in 2023 as well. There's a whole bunch of different budget scenarios along the way. I mean, the budget from the city budget is coming out, so we'll see what's going on. Talking about New Year's Eve fireworks, did you? There was a $500 fine instituted by the city of Brampton, passed before New Year's Eve. $500 for setting them off, and $1,000, I think, for selling them within Brampton. Did you hear any fireworks going off on New Year's Eve?
On my way home from the fireworks in downtown, I saw fireworks. I was going to try to track it down, but I think it might have actually been in Mississauga because I live on the border of Mississauga and Brampton. So, and at the end of the day, it was not like Diwali. I was driving home it was the election night that night, driving home from some campaign offices. I didn't, other than down, did you just lose? Yeah, there was no issues to me. Did you see anything done?
I heard some around Professor's Lake. As I said, I wasn't down in the Garden Square for New Year's because I was sick, but we did hear some going off at Professor's Lake area.
Yeah, so maybe people got the message because the weather was good, but then I don't think for the countdown, but it was raining up to that point. So maybe a lot of people thought it was going to be raining and they weren't going to do fireworks. But we'll have to wait for Victoria Day, for Canada Day, and then next Diwali. That'll be the big test to me, right? Is if people got that message.
So let's segue into from the fireworks. You were down at Garden Square. What went on down there?
Yeah, so I got there probably around a little after 10, and I was able to get halfway to the front of the stage there, and then we started walking around. I was there with my daughter, and then but 10 minutes later, it was starting to fill up. And then, so this is like right underneath the LCD screen. And then when it came time to do the countdown, there were people at the intersection. So I think it was really well attended. It's a very diverse crowd, young and old and all different cultures. So I thought the event was really well done. The fireworks were planned for 10 minutes and it was about 10 minutes, but I think they stretched it out. I would have loved to have seen a little bit more on the fireworks side, but that's just me. And obviously that means more money to be spent. But, if we're going to not have fireworks anywhere else in the city, this one should be spectacular, right? And I don't think it was spectacular. In fact, I'm not even sure there was music synchronized to it because I think for the last portion of it, there was no music at all. I was hearing music from the stage for the first 5 minutes. It didn't seem synchronized at all. And then the last 5 minutes, there was no music.
Couple of things that I heard from people is basically, why are we not holding this at Chinguacousy Park? We hold Canada Day celebrations at Chinguacousy Park because it's easier to get to. There's a lot more people. It's more centralized, and a lot of people said, it would be a bigger venue and more opportunities for a whole bunch of different things going on.
Yeah, I agree with that. One other, there were a few other comments. One person said, I guess in past years, they've done 2 fireworks, one at 10 o'clock and one at 12 o'clock. The 10 o'clock one is for people with young families, although there were a lot of young families there this year at 12 o'clock. So I think because the weather was good and all that. So that was one comment. Sorry. And then the other comment was, in terms of the entertainment, why aren't we using local talent for the entertainment instead of getting groups from Toronto that most of us have never heard of?
Yeah, I heard that too. That was going to be another one of my comments. A lot of people talked about, including the mayor, about how much talent Brampton has. Well, it's an opportunity to showcase, what talent we have. I think it's an opportunity. This and Canada Day should be two opportunities for local talent, especially with a diverse population and multicultural population that we have. I'm sure we have talent that crosses all sorts of ethnic, like spans the entire ethnic community in Brampton.
And, for these kind of events, when you have so many people out there, there's opportunities to share information with people there in an entertaining way. And I don't think any of that was really done. Like, I don't know how much money was spent, but there's a lot of money was spent on this event. And I'm not sure, other than the entertainment value, if there was anything any other value in terms of communication about city programs and things like that. Even when the council came on right at the countdown, I couldn't hear them from where I was. I was obviously way at the back. I heard the band. They must have been using a different microphone system, because when the counselors came on, I couldn't hear anything, to be honest. So that's some feedback for them is like, first of all, I think they should have been on earlier. In fact, if you look at the agenda that they had on one of the boards, it said at 12 o'clock fireworks, at 12:05, comments from council or something like that. I'm thinking, they said the fireworks supposed to be 10 minutes, and then this agenda said, basically implying 5 minutes. And then who's going to hang around to wait for comments from the councilor? Luckily, they didn't follow that plan. The council came on like a few minutes before. But, I don't like the nitpick, because obviously I did say the event was good, but there's so much that could be done to keep making it better. Bringing a karaoke machine, Nikki, is not an option.
Yeah, but Faz, don't we have a little slice of what Nikki could bring to that center stage?
Oh,
do we have that clip?
No, we don't. Unfortunately, my computer probably deleted it by itself.
Oh, come on! That was like, you don't delete stuff that tree lighting. I couldn't hear the mirror then either. Yes, that was a problem as well, Carla. Okay,
so Dottie and Nikki are going to do karaoke. Okay, I'm not coming to that one. So my other big critique, here's my big critique, is I wanted hot chocolate. In fact, me and my daughter were going to go to Tim Hortons before we got there, and I said, hey, I know a coffee shop. I'm not going to name the coffee shop. And so we got there walking. It's like 10:15. And then the person in front of the coffee shop says, oh, we are actually closed. We're waiting for everybody to come out. And at 10:15, I'm thinking, I cannot believe that. And then, my daughter was asking me, well, there's got to be somewhere else to get hot chocolate. There's nowhere to get coffee or hot chocolate in downtown other than that one venue that's closed. So, I don't know. There's just something that has to be done about that. Like that, to me, it's from a business perspective, from a marketing perspective, that's, give away free product, even let people try your product.
Well, the thing is, if you got a captive audience of, 1,000 people or so that you would listen to Nikki sing, Chris. Well, you know what?
Well, we know she can dance.
Well, I have no idea if she can dance, because that clip that we have, and you lost it, but I can download it to you again. Just says basically, no, it's a horrible dance situation.
Yeah, Chris, I'm not going into Subway for coffee or hot chocolate. And besides the fact that it was jam packed in there, and then there was a couple of buses, big, the stretch buses that said charter on it, and I'm thinking, who chartered a bus to come down here? And then I realized, it's probably a warming bus. I don't know why they didn't put warming bus in the front of it instead of charter. Because that would have been a little, like, I don't even know, because I didn't go in it and it wasn't that cold. And then it just looked like people were staying there forever. Like, you go in there, you warm, and then you come out. I don't know what those two buses were for.
Well, it's interesting. I mean, like I said, the one I had before, those people were talking about like a bigger venue, an area where more people can have it. I know Chinguacousy Park has been mentioned several times, and then the other one was the local talent, right? We have a lot of local talent. Give them a chance to shine.
Yeah, Carlos says, employees need time off too. You know what? We went to the Tim Hortons on the way home. They still had employees working there. And then Dottie said, yeah, they should have had a coffee trailer. In fact, the fireworks were sponsored by Tim Hortons, and I saw people with Tim Hortons cups there, and I saw other people come up and them saying, hey, where do I get Tim Hortons from? And then the guy said, well, he brought it with him. So, in terms of that part of it, that was a fail. You've got I don't know how many people were there, at least 1,000, maybe two, and nobody could get a hot beverage, especially if it was hotter. So my daughter wants to do a hot chocolate stand next year down there, and she wants me to figure out how to get a license to do that.
Well, you probably could get a license. And that's not a problem, right? It's a business license, but yeah.
Maybe some communities need to work with the city on making improvements, well, I'm not going to say it, but there is a community group set up to work with the city to make improvements in the downtown.
It's not really a community group. It's actual pay group that gets paid, right?
Yeah. So, I know people from the city watch the show. Our goal is not to criticize. It's just how can we keep making these things better and better? Clearly, we did a good job in attracting people there. I think everybody had fun that was there. Luckily, the weather wasn't cold or raining, because that was my concern. The only reason I decided to come last minute was because the weather forecast, right? If it was raining, I was already a little sick. I wasn't going to be there. And then the fireworks, I don't have pictures of the fireworks because I wanted to enjoy the fireworks. I put away my camera. The fireworks were coming out of the top of the Rose Theater, right above the stage there. So it was, in terms of a view, like it's close up. And then for the first 2 minutes, you couldn't hear the fireworks. And my daughter said, how come we can't hear the fireworks? Because, the whole goal of fireworks is to hear the big boom.
Yeah.
And I think they must have used some special fireworks and only used a few of the big booming ones, for the big ones. So that was quite interesting. But, if you're going to have one fireworks, it needs to be big and loud to me.
Yeah.
Otherwise, don't have fireworks.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you know what? All good. Local talent, central area. So basically, going forward, we'll see what's going on next week. It's not going to be a long show today. We had good people just talking about what was going on. We just wanted to do a quick synopsis of what was going on in the downtown core. There's a whole bunch of things that are supposed to be happening in 2023, according to the mayor. Local council seems to be at least unified to some degree to get stuff. There's the backyard rink program that I know the mayor was talking about. That's still going on. Local rinks are being set up in different areas. Duggan Park is one where there's a local rink where people can get out and enjoy the winter time when it starts to freeze up. We've had some pretty mild temperatures right now, so you still have Gage Park, you still have Mount Pleasant, you still have Gore Meadows, you still have the outdoor rink there, which is covered, and then you have what's the other one I'm missing? Chinguacousy Park, right? You have Chinguacousy Park.
Yeah. And Gage Park, no, what's the deal with Gage Park? Is that like that's not frozen?
No, they don't have a chiller under that one. No, the new ones that they're going up, the hockey rinks, they have chillers underneath them. I know the one in Duggan Park does. The two new ones, one is going up in Councillor Paleshi's area, and the other one is Dennis Keenan's area. So there are more rinks coming up in the area. So obviously, we got to wait till the weather, cooperates. Happy New Year, Cindy Ann Lewis Williams. Happy New Year. Thank you.
Hello, Cindy. Yeah. First of all, thanks for so many comments today. I guess maybe a lot of you are still on vacation, or you're not going to, you're home for whatever reason. So we want to make the show a little more interactive. It should be less about Don talking. I can do more talking if you'd like, but less about Don. But we want you guys to kind of drive the conversation, the questions. We're gonna have some tools ready in a month or two to make that easier, and just have a lot more community engagement, a lot more feedback. Like I gave feedback on the New Year's fireworks event. I'm not sure. There were thousands of other people who I'm sure have ideas. I'm not sure how they provide feedback to the city so that we can keep improving it. I think we want to crowdsource this stuff, right? We want everybody involved to make the city better in every way.
Carla's on a staycation. Karen can't wait to be more engaged.
Carla's always on a staycation.
I know, it's like every time you hear her, like she's always like, when does she work?
Anyway. There's a photo on her Facebook on Carla. Carla, by the way, is the new school board trustee for wards Brampton Wards 7 and 8.
Yes.
There's a photo on her Facebook page that has a huge mistake, and she's unwilling to fix it. So take a look at her Facebook page and let us know if you find what the mistake is. I can't believe she let that go.
Oh, to me, it's like unbelievable. But I forgot to mention also the IIFHF Women's World Hockey is going to be coming to Brampton. And now I know the men's tournament is still going on. That's in Moncton and Halifax. If you watched the game yesterday, Canada moved on to the semifinals in overtime. That was a hell of a game. But they did mention during that the Brampton is holding it in April. So that's coming up. That's actually pretty big. I mean, just like in Moncton and Halifax, international women's hockey is gaining traction. So that's going to be interesting. Like I said, when we get any kind of information on where the venues are going to be and where you can get tickets, as soon as we hear, we'll let you know. But obviously the CA, but we're still not sure if they're going to be different venues like Cassie Campbell or so on and so forth around the city. So.
Well, Don, I know you said we're going to have a short show. We're already over 30 minutes. So since we're over 30 minutes, you might as well keep going. And since you raised the topic of sports, and I know you're an NFL fan, what are your thoughts on that injury to Damar? I forget his last name.
Damar Hamlin.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was an unfortunate incident. Obviously, it's not something that anybody wants to see. It was if anybody doesn't know, Buffalo was playing Cincinnati yesterday on Monday Night Football, and I think about 5 minutes into the game, Hamlin basically tackled one of the receivers for Cincinnati. Apparently, what happened was the helmet hit directly into his heart. Basically, the heart fluttered, and then it stopped. So he was out on the field. Basically, they were doing CPR and actually doing an AED onto him. It's an unfortunate incident. I don't think it's happened before in football. It has happened once before in hockey. I think Chris Pronger got a shot to the chest, and it happened to him. He recovered, and he played several more years in the NHL. So it's kind of a fluke accident. You just got to hit the heart at the right time when it's like outbeating, I guess, and then it just stopped. So that sort of it's something that, you know what, the NFL players are talking about it. You know, they play with broken bones. They get this, they get that. But something like that happened on national TV. You know, it was pretty. You know, they stopped the game and they just, you know, they don't know if the game is going to be played again or they're going to do a makeup game. But yeah, it was pretty traumatic. I mean, I watched it for a while, and at the end I said, yeah, they're not going to continue this game. There's no way they're going to continue the game. So.
Was that the only game being played?
Yeah, it was Monday Night Football. It was a special, like Bills are 12-3, Cincinnati 11-2 or 11-3. So, you know, two top tier teams going at it. Basically for the AFC, you know, it would have been whoever won that game probably would be the top AFC seed going into the playoffs. So right now there's only 2 games left, or actually 1 game left, but for them and there's 2. So you're coming up to week 18. So it's a difficult situation. I mean, you know, like he's in intensive care. They don't know how he's going to be or how long he didn't get oxygen to the brain. That's the other big thing, right? Because that can be brain damage as well, right? So
yeah, it's unfortunate to see. I'm surprised, you know, we don't see live more of that injuries, because all sports, are particularly hockey and football, are violent. And so for this to have happened, I'm not sure what can be done about it, right? Because it's a context.
Well, it's a violent sport. I mean, people don't realize that Rocky Marciano killed 2 people in the ring when he was fighting, right? You know, I think we've come a long way where the referees step in when they see a fighter, you know, getting, you know, pummeled. And sometimes, you know, the fighters don't agree with the situation that, you know, the fight is stopped, but it's for their own safety. I think the NFL has done a lot of stuff in regards to helmets and safety and, you know, concussion protocol and so on and so forth. But games have been going on since, you know, time immemorial. I mean, the Coliseum and, you know, this, that, and the next thing. So
I was looking on Twitter all day long to see if there's any updates on that player, and they're not issuing any, which to me is not a good sign. But also there was some controversy in if the game was actually just going to be delayed or not. So, you know, some of the ex-NFL players who were commenting on TV said, you know, 10, 20 years ago, they would have kept that game going. Now, at least, you know, they're not viewing the players as kind of just replaceable pieces, but actual athletes and the fans and the team members as caring people, not just entertainers on a field.
Well, don't forget, years ago, 20, 30, 40 years ago, you wouldn't have the NHL or the NFL Players Association involved. Don't forget before then, the players weren't unionized, just like hockey players weren't unionized. So they had no say. There was no arbitration. There was no general body to say this is what we need, this is what we want going forward. So in those days, it was like, yeah, if you don't want to play, you're off the team. It was like, NHL hockey, right? I mean, individual owners could basically tell people or blackball people from playing ever again in the NHL if they didn't play, or sign the contract, just sign it,
Yeah.
So it's a big difference. Things change over time, hopefully for the better. I think this was a situation that the two coaches got together and they just said, you know what, this is not good. We're taking our players off the field, right? Which is, it's good for them. Right? So,
yeah, no, good call. That would have been terrible if they'd kept playing the game. Terrible.
I don't think a lot of players would have wanted it. Like I said, you're having something like that. I don't think I've watched football since, like I was 10 years old. I've never seen anything like that. I don't think a lot of players have. I've seen people get their ankles broke, their arms broke, collarbones, this, that, and the next thing, concussions. There have been people paralyzed. So, that's just as bad and horrible. But at the same time, something like that where someone actually dies on the field and they had to resuscitate him. Basically, that's what it boils down to. His heart stopped. They had to resuscitate him. So.
Okay, well, hopefully he recovers, and who knows? I doubt he can play this year, but maybe next year.
Yeah. So, what's Carla saying? Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
All right. So listen, next Tuesday will be our full show where we'll have some sort of agenda going forward. Today was basically just to wrap everything up going forward, but we will see you next Tuesday at the same time. And thank you for joining us. And if you've got any comments, you've got both of our emails there where you can send them a comment. Or if you've got something that we want to cover or you want to cover or you want us to cover, then just send us an email.
Or if you want to be on the show because you think you can do a better job than me or Don, let us know. And
yeah.
You can have my spot for a week and I'll be behind the scenes.
Absolutely, 100%. So there we go. All right. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you guys next week.